A wise person once said, "The best things in life come free." I'm pretty sure they were referring to love or family or something, but today I'm going to be talking about free streaming services. Stay tuned for the 5 best free streaming sites and apps coming up. Alrighty, thank you for tuning in, everyone. My name is Matt, and I am the host of Shall I Stream It, the YouTube show where we talk about all things streaming. Today I'm going to be talking about the best free streaming services out there. Now, on this YouTube channel and on my blog, I've highlighted a lot of streaming services that you have to pay money for, like Disney Plus or Discovery Plus. But today I'm going to be talking about streaming services that you can download and watch content on completely free. As we're going along, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to this channel for a lot more content to come. I'm going to have some chapter times down in the description if you want to skip ahead to anything. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Pluto TV. Now, of course, Netflix ushered in a whole new way of watching shows on demand. But sometimes we just wish we just miss those times where you could go through, just flip through the channels. And that's one nice thing about Pluto TV is it gives you that experience because they have hundreds of live channels that are available completely free. Whether you go online to their website or you download their app, which is available on a ton of different devices, you can watch Pluto's content. They have channels that are devoted to news, to sports, entertainment, sitcoms, all kinds of things. They're owned by Viacom, so basically, like CBS content and Paramount content is going to be on there a lot, you'll notice. There's even a channel that's basically kind of like a preview of Paramount Plus. So if you've been thinking about checking out Paramount Plus, this can be a way to kind of see what some of their shows are like for free. Now, all of their channels are supported by advertising, although there's not any more or less ads than you would expect from a typical television broadcast. In an hour, you're probably going to get like 4 or 5 television ad breaks, something like that. And while these channels, I should note, aren't going to be the same as you would get with a cable service, they do offer a lot of channels that are basically like light versions of what you would get from a cable service. So they have their own Pluto-specific versions of like MTV, Showtime, TV Land, channels like that, for example. One thing to take note of, which differentiates it from a traditional, cable service or television service, is that you cannot record shows, so just take note of that. Pluto TV does also offer a pretty wide selection of on-demand content. Now, with this, and this is the same with a lot of the on-demand content on the free streaming apps, you'll notice there's basically kind of like a thin slice of, big-name Hollywood films that you might recognize. And then there's like a whole bunch of like random crap you've never heard of. So the stuff that is, kind of the bigger-name Hollywood films, there's probably going to be something in there where, looking at it, you'll be like, oh, I've always wanted to watch that. Their on-demand content does also have ad breaks, but for me, the main highlight for Pluto TV is those live channels. I just think it has a very nice experience. It gives you, basically that old-timey feel where, you sit in front of your TV, you maybe aren't sure of what to watch, and you can just kind of flip through the channels before you find something. IMDb TV. Now, this is attached to the famous Internet Movie Database, which now, like so many other things, is owned by Amazon. You can access this either from going to the IMDb website if you're on a desktop or laptop computer. If you're on an Amazon device, they have a standalone IMDb TV app. Otherwise, if you're on like a Roku or an Apple TV or Chromecast, something like that, you will have to go through the Amazon Prime app, which I'm not a huge fan of. I wish they would separate it on all of the devices. But regardless, basically how IMDb TV works, it's ad-supported movies and television, and I think their selection and lineup of shows and, movies that they've got is pretty good compared to a lot of those other free streaming apps out there. For example, in their, TV lineup, as of the time that I'm making this video, they've got Mad Men, they've got Chicago Fire, 24, My Name is Earl, As far as the movie side, they have Star Trek, Snowpiercer, Blue Valentine. So there are quite a few movies and TV shows out there, and I do think it is a pretty good selection. They are even getting into some of their own original content, which I believe is going to come out later this year in 2021. They've worked out deals with the famous television producer Norman Lear. They've also got a show coming out with Judge Judy, so that should be pretty interesting to see what materializes out of that. So if you're looking for a good curated selection of free ad-supported content, IMDb TV has a pretty good selection, and it's, of particular note if you have an Amazon device, because you can download that standalone IMDb TV app. This next streaming service I'm going to talk about is Kanopy. Now, I was so excited when I figured out Kanopy was a thing, and I'm guessing a lot of people watching this video have never heard of it. So, Kanopy is a service that's offered through public libraries as well as universities. A lot of the big cities, like I believe the Seattle Public Library, Denver Public Library, Los Angeles Public Library, where I live in the suburbs outside of Kansas City, Kansas, our public library system has access to Kanopy. And if you're a student at a wide range of universities, you can also get access through there, of course. Kanopy offers streaming movies and documentaries for free without any advertising. You are going to see some overlap from some of the other streaming services out there. The thing, with this, of course, it's free and there's no ads. Now, their content is going to be a little bit different than like your typical Netflix or Hulu, in that it does focus on both documentaries as well as critically acclaimed feature films. So things that might be nominated for the Oscars, independent films, things like that. They've worked out partnerships with A24, Paramount Pictures, Lionsgate, PBS, Sesame Street, and The Great Courses. So if you're familiar with The Great Courses, that's basically like online learning classes that you can pay to download. You can access a ton of those great courses for free through Kanopy, so that's definitely a nice feature. Or if you're like me and you're a fan of A24's films, I think Hereditary, it scared the bejesus out of me, but I think it was a spectacular film. That's on Kanopy. A lot of other things that they produce, like 8th Grade, Midsummer, things like that, those are all on Kanopy. So I've, enjoyed watching the movies so far. Basically, how it works with most library systems, and I think this varies depending on library to library. But once you sign up for your account, which you have to basically verify your library card number to get in, or if you're with a university, you log in with your university ID. Once they verify that you've got a library card, or that you're a student at a university, or I think also a professor at a university or a staff member, you'll be able to get in, and you have a certain number of credits that you get per month. With my library system, it's 10 credits. So once you start watching a movie, you've got 72 hours to watch it. And at the beginning of each month, it resets those credits. So, Kanopy is available on a wide range of devices, streaming devices like Roku and Apple TV, or through their website, or with a web browser. So Kanopy is definitely a cool thing to check out. If you go onto their website, you can check to see if your local library system is using Kanopy, or if you have access to that through there. Tubi. Now, Tubi is one of the streaming services that I have used most frequently, particularly for the podcast that I host called Fringe Watching. Fringe Watching is a podcast where we review very obscure films. And Tubi, basically, I would say its main focus is going to be on obscure, more niche programming. All of it is free and all of it is ad-supported. Kind of like I said before, for the on-demand content on Pluto, there's basically a thin slice of big-name Hollywood content on Tubi, and then there's a whole bunch of more random stuff out there. I would say chances are, just flipping through the main page, most people are going to find a movie or two where they're like, oh, you know what, I wanted to watch that movie and I never did. So, it's free, it's out there. What can you say? You can't really complain about something that's free. I will say the niche content, I think, is really where it shines. So if there's a particular genre that you're into, like Westerns, or you want to watch LGBT content, you want to watch martial arts films, international content, independent films, Christian films. All of those are available on Tubi. Now, Tubi doesn't currently have any original content, but they do plan to produce that, much like IMDb TV is working on that right now. I believe later this year in 2021, they're supposed to come out with some original content on Tubi, so that will be interesting to see what comes out of that as well. Now, the fifth free streaming service that I'm going to talk about is going to be Peacock. Peacock is a service that comes from NBC Universal. When I first heard about Peacock and downloaded it, I expected to basically be doing something where I would have a streaming service that was mostly something that you would pay for, and then there'd be like a little free trial thing you could do, as with most free streaming services. But Peacock basically flips it the other way. So most of their content is available for free, and then the stuff that's really in high demand, like most of the seasons of The Office, or some of the big name movies, or some of their original shows, those you have to pay for. Peacock does some interesting things. They basically combine what some of the other streaming services out there are doing. Much like Pluto, they have their own live streaming channels, and for me, that's one of the biggest things that I use when I watch Peacock. They have live streaming channels devoted to news, devoted to sports, devoted to talk shows, so that's kind of one of the things that differentiates them from some of their competitors. You'll find channels for random things like the Bob Ross channel and all of that. I have made my own standalone review of Peacock, so I'll definitely have a link to that in the description so you can check that out. But Peacock has a huge range of on-demand content. And I think their on-demand content that's available for free really gives the other free streaming services a run for their money, so to speak. I mean, it's free, so I don't know if you would say run for their money, but whatever. I really think that the free streaming content that's available on demand on Peacock really helps them stand out from their competitors. Just going through it, you're going to see TV shows like 30 Rock, Charmed, Psych, Chicago Fire. Then their movies, you've got Jurassic Park, Pretty Woman, The Matrix, Ghostbusters, the Harry Potter movies. So much of this is available for free. Of course, you do have advertising, like most of the other free streaming services out there, but this is just, one of the prime examples that I think really raises the bar above some of the other competitors. Have you tried out any of these free streaming sites and services? What were your thoughts? Leave your comment in the description down below and let me know. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel for a lot more information on streaming services, like news and reviews coming up. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.